Here being hentai crippling addiction.
Story time.
When I was young, I mean a kid, I liked kid things, my toys, my shows, not being bullied at school, but you can't have everything you want. So when I came home every day, there was a routine, there was peace. One day, it got obliterated. I remember thinking, damn, I'm ready for some...
Insert your kid's show.
Oh, how naive I was, because what I met instead was... Are those panties? Are those boobs? Why do they bounce so much? Why do they bounce so much? When they run, stay still. No. Is that thing crucified? Jesus Christ. Wait, is that blasphemous? On Nintendo Switch. Needless to say, my brain got fried. In a good way, reborn from the ashes like an Oteka phoenix. So I started consuming what little was available at my reach. Years later, I was an edgy teen, unable to connect with others. I remember one time, a friend showed me an illustration he made of Bulma. She was topless, but it wasn't like some lazy, horny boy drawing at the back of your notebook. Oh no, it clearly had effort behind it, subtle colors, delicate strokes, or at least as much as he could. Then he showed me these printed illustrations he based it on, illustrations that are still available, by the way. Needless to say, my mind was blown away. It surely can go any further than that, I naively said to myself. Now, bootleg DVDs were a common thing in the school's black market of entertainment. So one day, a DVD came my way. It had the final OVAs for Lokina and something else. To be specific, they were the second and third OVA, and just from seeing the first frame I knew what it was. Even if I ignored such thing existed, I mean, what else could I expect? The first sequence is a book coming to frame, but I was so innocent, so pure.
What?
Japanese animation is not limited to oppai physics and panty shots.
What?
So I knew what it was leading to, and I was ready. Or so I thought while strapping myself to my seat like a boy ready for the roller coaster ride. And that's precisely what it was. My heart was pumping, and so I met that plot detail which I was not expecting, but I was so innocent, so pure.
Quick plot summary. Hi, I am a spoiled twat.
Hi, I am the protagonist, and I am just a horny boy, and I am just the worst.
Well, look at that maid.
Oh, you're forcing your maid to play tennis without pantsuits?
No, that's her thing, bro. She gets turned on by that. Look, hey, come, do that thing.
Oh no! Turns out she's not a maid, but his stepmom. Plot twist. Actually, she's his father's latest wife in a long line of previous stepmoms, but...
I really love his father. I'm not like the rest. I'm not here for the money. And so, in order to prove this, I need your help.
Okay.
So they end up plotting a way for her to sleep with her stepson, since he's a virgin.
And so...
The logic being that by getting to know a woman, she expects their parental relationship to be reinforced, since she wants him to see her as his new mom. You know, classic hentai stuff. Just good intentions floating around, but after a series of contrived occurrences, our main degenerate ends up sleeping with her while...
You know, I think she's different. She scolded me some scenes ago. I think I might fall for her sexually.
Isn't that dandy? This is the main girl, by the way. Pure 90s design fest. Truly, a plot for the whole family. Now, my peanut brain wasn't fully developed. Will it ever be? So I wondered, how did I come to be here watching this animation with such unholy topics? My soul is for sure no forfeit. Had to step away from that unholy ground and reflect. How could he make his stepmom do such things? Why would her stepmom plan something so sinful? Then came back and finished that shit because my stepmom didn't raise the pussy whip. So naturally, I wanted to try new animations. So after consulting the Bible and further dealings with the black market, I found out that every time I tried a new title, there was something that would punch my soul out of my body and back in again. Some characters looking forward to some biological exploration? Get tentacle grave. Some young couple about to confess their mutual feelings? Get cockroaches sent. Some Yuri romance? Get your partner stolen, you scrub. A revenge story about a girl who got tentacle raped and now wants to return the favor? Blackmail. That was literally the title, so not sure what I was expecting. Some schoolgirls doing satanic rituals? Taste your first futa, you enormous cock. Going back to the stepmom thing, moving forward to the present, stepmoms became a non-issue because, as you know, incest is a big thing in hentai, but also seems to be today's norm in the Western world. That shit is front page material in any of your normie porn sites. So it never became my thing. I didn't start looking for stepmoms in real life after watching New Angel, nor I wished I had tentacles instead of my natural extremities, although lacking and inefficient in comparison. Actually, that's quite the opposite, but that's a different topic. Now, before the virtual Pelican comes to exercise me, even at that age, it was obvious that it was fiction and how to differentiate it from reality, something that now seems impossible for many. I loved Kill Bill and never intended to plug someone's eye in one pole. Any sane individual will understand that, yet still be shocked and moved by serious topics and events in real life, just as how you can laugh at some edgy stand-up comedian on Sunday while skipping church, or how you can consume some 2D quality productions with some
How dare you? 2D characters have rights, you know?
You've heard all the arguments, all the
Studies show that it leads to.
or more like
Studies show that it doesn't lead to. Oh, but it doesn't fit our narrative, so let's try it
Thanks for
again.
making the world an embarrassing nightmare, everyone.
But that's certainly another topic for some other video, most likely not mine. Now, there's a kneecaps video that tackles this in a pretty straightforward manner.
Why are you linking it?
So they can click on it.
Why?
So people can go away from the video and probably not come back. Don't I want my channel to grow? Is this my constant need to sabotage myself in everything I do? Different from that kneecaps video, I still find vanilla quite consumable, although boring at times, and yes, the reason is boredom and not any other reason. Because once you start recognizing the tropes and the shock value is diluted, there's another path that diverges from there, because the journey, it never ends. But where's there exactly? If your journey for the search for new content began with baby steps, which was my case, you quite possibly started looking for images, mangas, doujinshis, OVAs, clips from OVAs, the rawest games. You know the drill. We are clearly dwelling in the superior 2D realm for this. Probably you were lucky to start with vanilla, the front door, the receiver, kindergarten to hentai college. So there are many branches or lines to cross from there. So inevitably, at some point, you stumbled with more questionable subjects in front of the court of public opinion. You have your R's, NTRs, and the cluster branches. So you step in the line and say, not for me, thank you very much. But the thing is that you cross lines. You cannot just step on them, dear. There's no coming back. That hollow ground has now been defiled. But with hardcore shit being so easily accessible these days, it isn't a surprise that some gaki, koso, go straight into more deranged shit shows as their stepping doors. Yeah. So you cross lines. Some of them you come to accept them as your thing. So you keep exploring with your curiosity stirred, jumping from one genre to another until you're familiar with the lingo and acquainted enough to consider yourself knowledgeable in the subject. Then you realize that there seems to be less branches to explore except for new titles coming out or obscure hidden shit, but they all basically fall in treaded territory. Now, I think that there will always be a tag that we won't consume. Perhaps you tolerate it, but it's not your thing. For example, for me, it will be furry, a genre that increased drastically in popularity during the last, decade or so? So much that it is inevitable to stumble with it while casually scrolling your database of preference. Now, I'm not a furry, but god damn it, V-Stars and BNA are making it harder for me to say that. Perhaps you've crossed it before and it's totally your thing, and that's just dandy. I bet it has been quite different for you. Maybe you had a stroke watching one of Murakami's OVAs with all those blinking red lights, and now, like a brand new animal, if you will, you're now conditioned to reproduce those feelings under those lights. Congratulations, new king acquired. And now, Not one related to narrative, but more production-oriented, detail-based, a more meta one. And now, the map seems vast in comparison. The lines stop being about gratuitous imagery or narrative content, but a meta recollection of how it's animated, drawn, related, composed, directed, created by. Maybe you enjoy more watching Gengas rather than finished animations, or work in progress rather than finished compositions, or maybe the habits where you draw pleasure from, exploring your borrows, data management, hoarding material, and categorizing it in your own system could be more fun than reading those thousands of doujins you have in that hard drive, soaked in gasoline, connected to a sensor that lights a match, activated by the phrase FBI, open up! Maybe you're a step beyond that, and it's what comes after consuming the product. No, not that, you muppet. I'm talking more about transformative attributes. Can this be extracted into a Stitch GIF? Can I create a music video from this? Or a Fab Hero compilation? Do I find it appealing enough to create my own rendition? Do I want to be an illustrator? The type of media and how it's presented can elevate those fetishes and turn them into something productive. Did it inspire you enough to start illustrating, learning anatomy, proportions, gesture, form, perspective, understanding the nuances of actually drawing a fucking simple box? How hard can it be, right? Are we ever done crossing lines? Well, no, we're never done consuming. That's why we are seen as consumers instead of citizens, instead of humans. Sleep, work, consume, and repeat. After all, when you're searching, lurking, exploring, no one can deny that that's done with curiosity. Otherwise, we wouldn't. Do you want to find more of the same? Do you want to find new lines to cross under your set of conditions, restrictions? There is deductive work to find new things, being borbus, boards, pandas, pixips, independent artists, Patreons, studios, etc., etc. Do you read a new tag and feel that sensation of, I need to know about it? Have you crossed paths that are not your thing, but see such volumes of content that you give it a try to understand? Perhaps this thing is for you after all, or perhaps those volumes are further proof that this world isn't. So, you adventure into a new path, crossing a new line to embrace, stirred by a detective-like curiosity, unless the line is such a deranged one for you at that moment that you just shake your head and live in awe of where the world is going. But make no mistake, even if you push it to the bottom of your gut, you know that once a line is crossed, there's no coming back. You're no longer the same.
It's a dangerous business. You step onto the line, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off.
So that's what JRR was talking about. So you go back to your detective office, another bad case to bottle up the hard-boiled way, like many of your stories, like that one time that big side story time, like that one time you inevitably ended up talking about such subjects with your friends, and it's only natural to measure if this is a proper social group or person to have such conversations with, aka not a normie prude, but sometimes you miscalculate that, and when such topics arise, you think, oh, it seems that I can share my experiences about this, or perhaps maybe introduce them to my religion. So you go on and, have you seen this?
Insert tag or title.
Just to be met with, how dare you? Don't you care about fictional characters? Why is Cthulhu doing that to her? This is clearly a work
of the satanic.
or some shit like that. And you can't avoid looking at them, thinking, oh, you peanut-brained peasants, unable to see the elegance of such tact, feeling like an outcast in a high horse. So you leave them, never to come back, until you light up your pipe and get ready to take a new case, another crossed line to bottle up, just like many tales and lines before it. I know, cause we all are lewd detectives, arrow detectives, age detectives. I should have thought of a better name for the closing statement.